Welcome to the virtual CTIF studio. This is the first recording of its kind. I got with me Dennis Davies, our special CTIF advisor and the chair of the Commission Europe. Welcome.
Hello.
So, reverse 112, can you explain what's going on with that?
Well, for a number of years, we've been very supportive of EENA and its objective to have a reverse 112. Now, effectively, EENA is the European Emergency Number Association, which was put in place to drive forward the 112 emergency number to try and get it adopted across member states. And it's been very successful with that. So anywhere in Europe, pretty well now, you can dial 112, and then the national network providers, the telephone providers, will connect you to the emergency services. This was to avoid the simple confusion that you could travel around different countries, and to get the police, the fire, the ambulance, there might be a series of different telephone numbers. So a common number across Europe, and that's worked well. The outcome then was, well, that's good, but how do we alert people if they're in an area of danger and we need to get a message to them? And that's reverse 112. Now, different countries have different arrangements for alerting their populations. Some have siren systems. Some may have public announcements on television. Some mobile operators provide apps that can give you advice. There are some commercial programs that do that sort of thing as well. But the 112 process, for it to be effective, requires, again, a European directive of some form. And EENA, and the emergency number people, have both investigated an effective reverse 112, i.e. the requirements, the core requirements, the basics. And secondly, how it might be introduced. And the approach has been to go through the communications regulation approach in Europe. And to do that, they have produced a case, a good argument, and taken that right the way through the system now. We received information a few days ago, a week ago, that the Parliament has agreed for a reverse 112 system to become obligatory in member states. Now, how it's done and what it is done is really down to the member state. But following the terrible attacks in Brussels and Paris, there's a much stronger drive in many countries to try and make sure there is some form of warning system that can alert the public to dangers and give them very basic advice, not to go somewhere or to stay indoors or what the risk is. And that's the announcement. So it's significant. It's significant that after quite a long period, I mean, I'm talking a number of years of working at this, that has been achieved. And hopefully we'll now start to see the manifestation of that as systems start to appear. Some countries have already progressed different ways, as I say, of giving alerts. But hopefully this will give you a sort of SMS or that style of alerting system, maybe on mobile phones or similar.
It is in place in some countries, at least yes. Partially. Like, do you know which ones?
Well, I mean, siren systems, for example, are quite common in France.
Oh yeah.
But there are SMS alert systems, I think, in Belgium. I think the Netherlands. So already some countries are quite developed in these areas. Others are looking at them. Some have systems in cities, or with a particular mobile telephone operator. Yeah. So but at the moment it's fragmented and different. The purpose of this particular directive is that it enables that to be applied as an obligation throughout the European Union, which is a big step forward.
Yeah. So when do you think we could see some implications of this, or this being put into practice?
Well, I think some countries are driving it now. As I say, I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it quite recently, but I'm quite sure that there will be a number of projects underway Some countries, I think, have done trials, limited trials. Some are probably quite close to contracting or trying to make this arrangement work. But it requires usually an obligation to do this because of the need for the telecom network providers to be able to work together.
Yes. And is there a CTIF perspective on this? Do you have any
Warm
thoughts?
welcome, it's something we've argued for many years. And we've been supportive of the ENA approach. In fact, we gave support to when they were trying to give advice to MEPs that this was necessary. We joined the campaign effectively to reach it, because our view has always been that if we can alert the public, we can help save a lot of lives, moving people away from the flood, moving people away from a terrorist activity. You know, those sorts of little pieces of advice are quite critical in the fast-moving early development stage of an incident.
Are there any cautions or don'ts that needs to be taken into consideration as this is being implemented?
The European Union has funded research over quite a few years now, 5 or 6 years, on public alerting, warning systems, and so on. So there's good practice advice, and there's good practice advice, I think, from outside Europe. I mean, in the States, for example, the United States, there are alert systems, and there are companies that at state level that provide those sorts of warning systems. Most countries have some sort of national warning, but this is a much more localized process in a way. This is about trying to get warnings into groups, into geographic areas, so that you can pass, as I say, an SMS message. The good practice is about how those messages are constructed, so that you build trust with the public, and they know where to go and what that message will help them achieve. You know, so that's a part of an education program.
And is there sort of are there technical solutions to sort of push this through during high call volumes? I mean, if something happens, half the city starts phoning people, and then all the towers are.
Well, what reverse 112 is very much usually a message out, an SMS or something like that is a common way of trying to do it, which the bearers can carry. So that's not it's when people then, as you say, try to ring back in or try and get extra information. So part of the process is the alert, but another part of that process is ensuring there are systems, places, platforms that people can contact to get any additional information. So
and that they override the other information.
No. I mean, it's not about that. But it is about building systems that can cope with those volumes that you anticipate.
Right.
Yeah. And the technology has been moving to do that. The technology has been moving to do that. I mean, you think back, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have been getting these sort of warning messages. And I've got to say, there are systems in place already. People beneath dams and so on in certain areas will have alert and warning systems. Now, some of those 20, 30 years ago would have been based on infrastructure, as I say, like warning sirens or things like that. The modern version of that is to put it down onto your mobile to get it into the appliances that you're using. So that's really where the telecoms industry is stepping up.
Yeah, because we always have the mobile with us, and we don't always have the radio on, or we don't always have the TV on anymore. The mobile is what we have in our hand almost 24/7.
Yeah, exactly. And the importance, I think, of that as well is if you're foreign to a location. So, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a foreigner in language terms, but even that is an important step, isn't it? So if I go and you go to visit Spain or Italy, or it doesn't matter if that's our natural language or not, what we need is messages that will reach us in our language that we can understand, and gives us enough advice to avoid the danger. Now, that is a big step up, but it's through technology now that is becoming perfectly possible.
Yeah, it's exciting times. In a strange way. I wish we wouldn't have to have these messages, because it usually is not good news. But
No, but it's the sort of message you would want. I mean, even if it was something as simple as telling you to avoid the downtown area or whatever, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Or
Because, yeah,
hazmat situations.
yeah, or go indoors, shut your doors and windows
Yeah.
because we've got a hazmat situation. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But the framing of those messages, the recognition of where these callers might then go to try and get a further advice, you know, the internet, the platforms they might use, all that needs thinking through as part of the strategy. But this is the step that says we will build systems that can do this alerting process.
Yeah.
And that's very important as, you know, as a step.